Hi guys, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040, bringing to you a brand new, awesome yet crazy theory, and today I'm going to be talking about my thoughts on how I would like to see a Spider Man and Daredevil crossover in the MCU, and I will also be talking about my thoughts on how I would like to see them pull this off. Since Amazing Spider Man issue 16, back in 1963, Spider Man and Daredevil have crossed paths a number of times over the years. They've been the best of enemies, but at the same time they've been the best of allies in their long, ongoing war against crime. Now, Spider Man and Daredevil, you would say, are the complete polar opposites in terms of their personality, the way they approach fighting crime, and just the way they approach life in general. Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock, he's more a serious, gritty, hardcore driven of a character. He is all about the system, the justice system. He believes that justice is broken, the system is blind, and he is all about the law and order, and he tries to bring that into his city we all know as Hell's Kitchen. Spider-Man, on the other hand, aka Peter Parker, I wouldn't say he's happy-go-lucky. He may come across that at times. He's a bit more light-hearted than Daredevil. He carries the burden of the great power that's been bestowed upon him as he tries to make ends meet in New York City. Now, the interesting thing about these two is Peter Parker feels he has to be Spider-Man, because if he's not, who else is going to protect the city? Which is a good view. Matt Murdock, on the other hand, going by TV shows and the comic books, he doesn't see himself doing this long term. He feels that once he's done enough good, he can walk away from Daredevil and just live a normal life. Easier said than done, as we all know. But when these two are together, I always say that there's nothing that can stop them. They complement each other so well, and they're an unbeatable team. There's no question about it. The best team-up story that I enjoyed with these two was the 90s Spider-Man cartoon, where Peter Parker was framed for a crime that he didn't commit, and Matt Murdock was brought in as his defense attorney. So that was a really cool story in itself. So Peter Parker's trying to find out who framed him and who framed Spider-Man, while Matt Murdock, as Daredevil, he's trying to do the same, and that's where their paths cross. So that for itself makes for an interesting dynamic. Now, what I'm going to go with for a possible Daredevil / Spider-Man crossover is I'm going to take some inspiration from the 90s show and put it into my theory. But before we get into that, I'm just going to talk a little bit more about the possibility of this crossover. Now, as many of you all know, Daredevil came to an end back in season 3. Very unfairly, I might say. And there's been a lot of speculation about Daredevil's future. Like myself and all of you, I want to see a season 4 of Daredevil because I feel that the show was really starting to hit its peak. But however, if we wasn't to get a Daredevil season 4, why not have a Daredevil movie, or like I said, a Spider Man meets Daredevil crossover? And Charlie Cox has done an amazing job as Daredevil and Matt Murdock, and Tom Holland so far, he's proved himself to be a worthy Spider Man. So why not have these two together and team up? And I think it would make for a real kick-ass movie personally. And not just that, I think if Daredevil is on the big screen teaming up with Spider Man, this would be a way to wash off the stigma that the Daredevil character has had going all the way back 16 years ago when Ben Affleck was in that role. So with that all said, I'm going to talk about how I'd like to see them pull this crossover off and how we could make this work. At the end of Spider-Man Far From Home, Mysterio revealed to the entire world that Spider-Man is really Peter Parker. And now it looks like everybody knows who he really is. So how I would like to see this play out is in the crossover, in its prologue, we see at the beginning Peter Parker is on the run with Nick Fury and the Shield hunting him down. Now a lot of you are going to be thinking, well, why would Nick Fury and the Shield be going after Peter Parker? The real reason for that is Peter Parker is really the chameleon in disguise. So what you could have is Chameleon has broken into some government facility and stolen some top secret plans for a mystery boss, who I'm going to reveal momentarily. So he's disguised himself as Peter Parker. He's on the run with Nick Fury and the Shield on his tail, and he hides himself and they can't find him. Now we cut to the next scene. We would see Peter Parker coming out of high school like he always does, and he's arrested on sight for breaking into the government facility. Now the police don't know that the Peter Parker that broke into the government facility is secretly the chameleon. So Peter Parker is essentially framed for this crime. So what you could have is the Shield and Nick Fury get in contact with Matt Murdock to try and help Peter Parker out of this problem and try and get his innocence proved. So Peter Parker is sentenced pending bail, and Matt Murdock is brought in, and Matt Murdock basically says, I know that justice is blind, the system is broken, I know you're innocent, I will find a way to get you out of here, but I'm going to ask a special friend who can help you get out of this problem. So in the meantime, you sit tight and we'll see what we can do. So for that time that Peter Parker is behind bars, we could also see the other Peter Parker, that's Chameleon. He goes to meet his mystery boss and shows his mystery boss his secret plans. Now, the mystery boss will be the main villain of this crossover, and that main villain is none other than quite possibly one of the greatest villains in the history of Spider-Man and in the Daredevil TV show. That is none other than the man himself, Wilson Fisk, aka the Kingpin. For those of you who remember, at the end of season 3 of Daredevil, Fisk revealed to Daredevil that he knew he was Matt Murdock and that he was planning to tell the entire world his secret. Daredevil turned around and said to him that you'll never hurt anyone that I care about, because if you reveal my secret to the world, I will go after the one person that you care about most, and that's your wife, Vanessa. So Kingpin reluctantly agreed to that deal, but what she could have in the aftermath of season 3 of Daredevil, Fisk is secretly working behind the scenes to try and start another war, so to speak, but this time involving the Russians, and that by framing Peter Parker for stealing government plans from a Russian government facility, not only would Peter Parker be locked up forever, but Wilson Fisk could be held as some sort of unofficial hero for helping to stop this war from even happening, but also secretly he's working behind the scenes to regain control of his criminal empire. So Daredevil could find out this news, and Peter Parker, the real Peter Parker that is, as Spider Man, also learns this, and that's when these two cross paths. Now obviously we all remember that Daredevil and Spider Man do fight each other because one of them thinks the other is the enemy, but that is all part of Wilson Fisk's plan. Let the two heroes go at it while I secretly try and regain control and then essentially dismantle both Daredevil and Spider-Man. Now, the way you could have Peter Parker cleared is that maybe they could reveal that the footage that Mysterio showed at the end of Far From Home was fabricated with a little bit of help from the Shield, and that the person who was the one that broke into the government facility was really the Chameleon, not Peter Parker. So Peter Parker could be cleared. You could leave the door open for Wilson Fisk to return, even though they think they've captured him, but really it's all part of the plan. So Chameleon allows himself to be captured so that Wilson Fisk can escape. So that's pretty much my idea / theory for a Daredevil Spider-Man crossover. Now, what do you people think? Do you think Daredevil and Spider-Man has potential to work on the big screen? Do you think this could work? Is there any ideas on how you would do this? So I'm going to leave this up here for all of you. Let me know what your thoughts and comments are down below, and I hope you enjoyed listening to this crazy theory of mine. So with that all said, take care, and I will see you next time for another awesome yet crazy theory, courtesy of yours truly.